There is a sacred moment in every chosen one's life when the veil begins to lift, when the amnesia that has clouded your divine purpose starts to dissolve, when your soul remembers what it has always known. That moment is now. You've felt it stirring, haven't you? That inexplicable knowing that you were born for something more than the life you've been living. That quiet dissatisfaction that persists despite outward success. That profound longing for a purpose that feels just beyond your grasp. You see, many who are watching this right now are experiencing what I call spiritual amnesia, a sacred forgetting that was actually part of your soul's agreement before entering this life. This amnesia wasn't a mistake. It was a necessary part of your journey as a chosen one. Yes, you read that correctly, a chosen one. Not in the way of ego or superiority, but in the profound understanding that your soul carries a specific mission that only you can fulfill in these pivotal times. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you before you were born, I set you apart, as written in Jeremiah 1:5. These words speak directly to your divine appointment, an appointment many of you are only now beginning to remember as you enter this sacred second half of your life journey. The timing of your spiritual awakening is no coincidence. There is profound wisdom in why many chosen ones experience their greatest spiritual activation between the ages of 40 and 60. The life you've lived until now, with all its joys and heartbreaks, successes and failures, has been the perfect preparation for what your soul came here to do. That unexplainable feeling that something is stirring within you, that sense of remembering something long forgotten. The increasing synchronicities and coincidences that seem to be guiding you toward something greater. These are not your imagination. They are the sacred breadcrumbs leading you back to your original soul mission. In this message, we will journey together through the veil of forgetting. Understand the divine timing of your awakening. Reclaim your dormant spiritual gifts and embrace the sacred responsibility that comes with remembering who you truly are. If you feel a resonance with these words, if something deep within you is saying yes, even before your mind fully understands why, please like this video, subscribe to this channel for more divine guidance, and type 777 in the comments below to connect with other chosen ones who are awakening to their mission. Your remembering begins now. Chapter 1. The Veil of Forgetting. In the sacred journey of every chosen one, there comes a period of what I call the Great Forgetting. This isn't a mistake in your spiritual development. It's an essential part of your divine contract. Let me explain why this happens. You see, many of the most powerful souls who come to this earth agree to a temporary veil of forgetting, a sacred amnesia that allows you to fully immerse in the human experience. This forgetting wasn't punishment. It was protection. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. As written in Romans 12:2, this transformation begins when you start to remember what was temporarily hidden from your consciousness. The world you were born into has specific patterns designed to keep chosen ones disconnected from their true nature. From early childhood, you were likely taught to prioritize external achievement over internal wisdom, material success over spiritual fulfillment, logical thinking over intuitive knowing. And for a time, this was necessary. Your soul knew that to fulfill your mission in these pivotal times, you first needed to understand the very systems you were meant to help transform. Think about it. How could you be truly effective in bringing light to others if you hadn't first experienced the darkness? How could you guide others through transformation if you hadn't walked through your own wilderness? The forgetting serves a purpose. But now the time of remembering has come. There are distinct signs that you've been living with this veil over your spiritual identity. Perhaps you've achieved everything society told you would bring fulfillment: the career, the family, the material comforts, yet still feel a persistent emptiness that nothing external seems to fill. Maybe you've experienced recurring dreams of doing important work, healing others, teaching spiritual truths, or standing before many people with an urgent message. These aren't random fantasies. They're glimpses of your soul's true mission, breaking through the veil. Or perhaps you've always felt like a stranger in your own life, going through the motions while a deeper part of you whispers, "This isn't all you came here to do." The most telling sign, that inexplicable resonance you feel when exposed to spiritual truths, that strange familiarity with concepts you've never formally studied, that bone-deep knowing that awakens when you hear messages like this one. These aren't coincidences. They're your spiritual DNA activating after years of dormancy. Society has specific mechanisms designed, whether consciously or unconsciously, to keep chosen ones in spiritual amnesia. The constant distraction of technology, the glorification of busyness, the subtle ridicule of those who speak of deeper realities, the emphasis on rational thinking above all else. These forces don't operate by accident. The light you carry is powerful, and systems built on imbalance have a vested interest in keeping that light dimmed. But here's what those systems don't understand. The forgetting was never meant to be permanent. It was always designed with an expiration date. A divine timing for remembering that aligns perfectly with both your personal soul journey and the collective need for your gifts. That time is now. The discomfort you may be feeling, that sense of no longer fitting into the life you've built, that increasing intolerance for superficial connections and meaningless activities, that urgent feeling that something important is waiting for you to remember it. These are not signs of something wrong. They are sacred indicators that your spiritual amnesia is lifting. So I ask you now, what part of your soul feels like it's been asleep? What gifts and knowing have been waiting patiently beneath the surface of your consciousness? What mission might you have agreed to before birth that's now calling for your remembrance? Sit with these questions. Allow them to penetrate beyond your thinking mind and into the deeper knowing that resides in your heart and soul. Because the veil is thinning. And what comes next in your awakening journey will require courage, discernment, and a willingness to remember who you truly are. A chosen one, whose time of spiritual amnesia is coming to its destined end. Chapter 2. The Midlife Awakening. There is a sacred wisdom to the timing of your spiritual awakening. Have you wondered why so many chosen ones experience their greatest spiritual activation between the ages of 40 and 60? This is not random. It is divine orchestration at its most profound. You see, the first half of your life journey was designed to build the vessel that could eventually hold the power of your full spiritual awakening. Your early decades were about gathering the experiences, wisdom, and strength required for the mission you're now remembering. For we know in part, and we prophesy in part, but when completeness comes, what is in part disappears, as written in 1 Corinthians 13, 9-10. This scripture speaks directly to the spiritual evolution happening within you now, the partial understanding giving way to a more complete remembering. Think about who you were at 20 or 30. Would that version of you have been prepared for the magnitude of what you're now being called to embody? Would that younger self have had the discernment, the resilience, the hard-earned wisdom that you now possess? This midlife awakening carries a potency that couldn't have existed in your earlier years. Every relationship that shaped you, every heartbreak that cracked you open, every success that built your confidence, every failure that taught you humility, they were all preparation for this precise moment in your soul journey. The divine timing of your awakening also aligns with a critical window in humanity's collective evolution. You're awakening now, because now is when your specific gifts are most urgently needed. Had you fully awakened 20 years ago, the world wouldn't have been ready for what you carry. Had your awakening been delayed another decade, its impact might have come too late. But this perfect timing doesn't make the awakening process easy. Many of you are experiencing what feels like a profound unraveling of your identity. A dissolution of who you thought you were, to make way for who you've always been beneath the forgetting. This awakening often arrives disguised as disruption. Perhaps you've experienced sudden intolerance for aspects of your life that once seemed acceptable, unexpected emotional releases or inexplicable tears, a growing sensitivity to energies, environments, and the emotions of others. Vivid dreams or visions of doing work very different from your current life. Physical symptoms that medical tests can't explain. An urgent need to shed relationships. Possessions or identities that no longer align with your emerging truths. Synchronicities and coincidences that seem to be guiding you toward a new path. These experiences can be disorienting, even frightening, when you don't understand their purpose. But I'm here to tell you, these are not signs of breakdown. They are signs of breakthrough. What you're experiencing are the necessary birth pains of your spiritual reawakening. Just as physical birth requires contractions and intense pressure to bring new life into the world, your spiritual rebirth requires the breaking of old forms to allow your authentic self to emerge. The discomfort serves a purpose. The confusion carries clarity within it. The dismantling creates space for divine reconstruction. And here's what makes this midlife awakening so powerful. You're not coming to your spiritual gifts as a blank slate. You're coming with decades of life experience, professional skills, relationship wisdom, and hard-earned resilience that your younger self simply didn't possess. All that you've lived becomes the fertile soil in which your reawakened spiritual gifts can now take root and flourish. Your business acumen becomes a vehicle for spiritual service. Your parenting wisdom transforms into broader nurturing of collective healing. Your professional networks become channels for your light to reach those who need it most. Nothing has been wasted. Every experience has been preparation. So I ask you, what unexpected changes have you been experiencing that might be signs of your awakening? What parts of your life feel like they're being dismantled to make way for something greater? What whispers of guidance have you perhaps been resisting because they don't align with the identity you've built? Sit with these questions not in fear, but in sacred anticipation. For what's emerging now is not new. It's ancient. It's not foreign. It's more authentically you than anything you've lived until now. You are a chosen one, in the midst of divine remembering, and the discomfort of this midlife chrysalis is simply the necessary transformation before your spirit takes flight in its full, magnificent purpose. Chapter 3. Recognizing your dormant gifts. Your spiritual gifts were never truly absent. They were simply dormant, waiting for the divine timing of their activation. Like seeds beneath winter snow, they've been silently gathering strength for the moment of their emergence. Having gifts that differ according to the grace given to us, let us use them, as written in Romans 12:6. This scripture reminds us that your specific combination of spiritual gifts is unique to your soul's purpose, a divine signature that only you can express in precisely the way the world needs right now. But how do you recognize these dormant gifts as they begin to stir within you? Let me share 7 sacred signs that your spiritual abilities are awakening after years of quiet hibernation. First, pay attention to the persistent interests that have followed you throughout your life. Those subjects' activities or concerns that have consistently called to you across decades, even when you couldn't devote time to them. These aren't random hobbies. They're echoes of your soul's true work, trying to reach your conscious awareness. Second, notice the natural abilities that others have always recognized in you, even when you've dismissed them as just something everyone can do. Perhaps you've always known what others were feeling without them telling you, or had dreams that later came true, or instinctively known how to comfort someone in crisis. These aren't common skills. They're your spiritual gifts operating even during your amnesia. Third, examine your deepest wounds, for this is profound spiritual truth. Your greatest healing mission is often connected to your most painful experiences. The challenges that broke your heart were also breaking it open to become a vessel for specific light. Your hardest journeys weren't punishment. They were preparation for helping others navigate similar terrain. Fourth, track the synchronicities increasing in your life. Those coincidences that feel charged with meaning. The book that falls open to exactly the page you needed to read the stranger who mentions precisely what you've been contemplating. The repeated numbers or symbols appearing in your awareness. These aren't random. They're sacred breadcrumbs guiding you toward your reawakening. Fifth, reflect on who seeks you out for guidance. Comfort or insight. Even during your spiritual amnesia, certain people have likely been drawn to you for specific types of support. The patterns in what others naturally ask of you reveal the gifts already operating through you, even if unconsciously. Sixth, pay attention to what energizes rather than depletes you. When you're operating in alignment with your true spiritual gifts, you'll find renewal rather than exhaustion. Activities that leave you feeling more alive and present, even when challenging, are signposts pointing toward your authentic spiritual purpose. Seventh, honor your childhood knowing. Those intuitions, sensitivities, or awareness you had as a child before the world taught you to doubt your perceptions. Many chosen ones were highly attuned children who gradually disconnected from their gifts to fit into a society that didn't validate their experiences. Your spiritual gifts operate through the unique vessel of your human personality experiences and skills. This is why no two chosen ones express identical gifts in identical ways. Your specific spiritual DNA carries a signature frequency that is yours alone to embody and share. Some of you are awakening to gifts of profound healing, the ability to help others release energetic blockages, trauma, or limiting beliefs that have kept them from their own divine potential. Others are remembering gifts of clear seeing, the capacity to perceive beneath surface appearances to the deeper truths, patterns, and possibilities that others miss. Some carry gifts of inspired creation, the ability to channel divine wisdom through art, music, writing, or other forms that bypass the rational mind to touch the soul directly. Others embody gifts of sacred teaching, the capacity to translate complex spiritual concepts into accessible wisdom that awakens remembering in others. Some of you are bridges between worlds, those who can perceive and communicate with realms, dimensions, or consciousnesses beyond ordinary awareness. Whatever your specific constellation of gifts, know this. They were planted within you before birth, have been developing even during your forgetting, and are now being activated because both you and the world are ready for what only you can bring. So I ask you, what abilities have you taken for granted that might be part of your spiritual mission? What gifts have you dismissed as imagination, coincidence, or simply human capability that might actually be sacred abilities awakening within you? The recognition of your dormant gifts is not the end of your journey. It's the beginning of your sacred reclamation. and this remembering changes everything. Chapter 4. The Sacred Reclamation. There comes a sacred moment in every chosen one's journey when recognition must transform into reclamation. It's no longer enough to simply acknowledge your dormant gifts. Now you must consciously claim them as the divine inheritance they truly are. This reclamation is not a single event, but a profound process, one that will ask everything of you while simultaneously restoring everything to you. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose. As written in Romans chapter 8:28. This scripture speaks to the divine orchestration happening in your life right now, the sacred convergence of your awakening with your highest purpose. The reclamation journey begins with a courageous acknowledgement of the false identities you've carried, the roles, beliefs, and patterns that served their purpose during your forgetting, but now stand as barriers to your remembering. These identities weren't wrong, they were necessary containers for specific chapters of your journey. The achiever who built financial stability, the caretaker who learned selfless service, the rational thinker who cultivated discernment, the conformist who understood societal systems from within, each played their essential part. But now these limited identities must be recognized for what they are, sacred stepping stones rather than final destinations. Holding on to them beyond their intended purpose is like refusing to remove the scaffolding after the cathedral is built. It only obscures the magnificence of what has been created. The reclamation requires you to step beyond the safety of what you've known into the vast, unmapped territory of what your soul has always known. This territory often feels unfamiliar to your conscious mind, even as it resonates with perfect familiarity to your deepest being. For many chosen ones, this phase of the journey brings a profound initiation, a period of what feels like everything falling apart before it can come together in a higher configuration. Relationships that cannot support your emerging truth may fall away. Career paths that aligned with your forgetting but not your remembering may dissolve. Belief systems that once provided comfort may crumble. This is the metaphor of the phoenix, the necessary burning away of what is no longer aligned with your highest expression, so that your authentic spiritual identity can emerge from the sacred ashes. And here is the paradox. Many chosen ones struggle with this. Reclamation often feels simultaneously like the most terrifying and the most natural process you've ever undertaken. Terrifying to the conditioned self that clings to known security, utterly natural to the soul that recognizes it's finally coming home to its truth. The sacred responsibility that comes with this reclamation cannot be overstated. As you step into the fullness of your spiritual gifts and purpose, you become a living catalyst for the awakening of others. Your remembering creates energetic permission for those around you to begin their own remembering. This is why the path of the chosen one is never a journey of spiritual bypass or escape from worldly engagement. It's precisely the opposite. A profound recommitment to being fully present in the world, but now operating from a completely different level of consciousness and purpose. Your unique journey, with all its challenges, wounds, and hard-won wisdom, has equipped you with exactly the combination of experiences needed to serve in ways no one else can. The very circumstances that once felt like obstacles were actually divine preparation for your specific mission. The single mother who learned to create abundance from scarcity now helps others transform limitation into possibility. The business leader who navigated corporate systems now brings spiritual principles into institutional transformation. The health crisis survivor who discovered alternative healing now guides others toward wholeness. The addiction recovery warrior now holds space for others finding their way back to their essence. Nothing, absolutely nothing in your journey has been wasted. Every moment has been weaving the unique tapestry of wisdom, strength, and insight that only you can now offer to a world in desperate need of what you carry. So, I ask you, what parts of your authentic self have you been afraid to reclaim? What aspects of your spiritual identity have you kept hidden even from yourself? What sacred gifts are waiting for your conscious recognition and activation? The time for hesitation has passed. The world needs what only chosen ones like you can bring. And the reclamation of your true spiritual identity isn't just your highest privilege, it's your most sacred obligation. Chapter 5. Divine Timing and Your Mission. There are no accidents in the spiritual journey of a chosen one. The timing of your awakening, happening precisely now, carries profound significance both for your personal evolution and for the collective transformation occurring on our planet. For such a time as this, as written in Esther 14, these words from ancient scripture speak directly to the divine orchestration of your spiritual remembering in this specific moment in human history. Many of you have questioned why your full spiritual awakening didn't happen sooner. Perhaps you've looked back at your life and identified moments when glimpses of your gifts appeared only to recede back into dormancy. You may have experienced frustration, even grief, wondering about the lost time of your spiritual amnesia. But I want you to understand something crucial. An earlier awakening would not have served your highest mission. Had your full remembering come in your 20s or 30s, you wouldn't have accumulated the life experience, wisdom, and resilience now available to you. You wouldn't have developed the discernment to wisely steward the power of your gifts. You wouldn't have built the network of connections your mission requires. You wouldn't have gathered the specific insights that only your unique journey could provide. More importantly, the world wasn't ready for what you carry until now. We are living through what many spiritual traditions have prophesied as a pivotal time in human consciousness, a great shifting that requires the awakening of specific souls who carry specific frequencies and gifts. Your spiritual DNA contains codes of remembrance that are activated not just by your personal readiness, but by collective energetic triggers that are only now present on our planet. The very challenges facing humanity at this moment, the environmental crises, the social divisions, the technological revolutions, the questioning of old paradigms, these aren't just random world events happening parallel to your awakening. They are directly connected to why you're awakening now. Chosen ones are not awakening despite the world's apparent chaos. They're awakening because of it. The breaking down of old systems creates the exact conditions needed for the seeds of new consciousness to take root and flourish. The years of your spiritual sleeping weren't wasted. They were a necessary incubation. During this time, your gifts were developing beneath the surface of your awareness, gathering potency, refining their essence, waiting for precisely the right conditions for emergence. Think of it like this. When a master vintner creates an exceptional wine, the grapes must first grow in perfect conditions, be harvested at exactly the right moment, and then, crucially, the wine must be aged in darkness. It's this period of apparent dormancy that transforms something ordinary into something extraordinary. Your spiritual gifts have been undergoing this same sacred aging process. Or consider the bamboo forest. For years after planting, nothing visible happens above ground, but beneath the surface, an extensive root system is forming. When the roots are finally established, a process that cannot be rushed, the bamboo can grow up to 3 feet in a single day. Your decades of apparent spiritual dormancy have been building this essential root system. The divine timing of your awakening creates ripple effects far beyond what you can currently imagine. As you step into the fullness of your gifts and purpose, you automatically affect the energetic field around you. Your remembering creates an opening for others to remember. Your courage inspires courage in those witnessing your transformation. Your authenticity grants permission for authenticity in others. This is how chosen ones change the world. Not always through grand, visible actions, though these may come, but through the consistent embodiment of awakened consciousness that alters the very frequency of environments, relationships, and systems you engage with. You aren't awakening just for yourself. You're awakening for the collective healing and evolution that your specific gifts are designed to facilitate. The wisdom you've gathered through your life experiences, especially through your challenges and wounds, now becomes the medicine that a hurting world desperately needs. So I ask you, how might your life experiences, even the painful ones, have prepared you for your purpose? What understanding have you gained through your sleeping years that you couldn't have acquired any other way? What specific aspect of our world's healing might your unique journey have equipped you to address? The divine timing of your awakening is perfect. Not a moment too soon, not a moment too late. Precisely when both you and the world are ready for the magic that happens when a chosen one remembers their true identity and purpose. Chapter 6. Navigating the Transformation. The awakening journey of a chosen one is both profound and practical. While the spiritual remembering is sacred, it must be integrated into your everyday reality, a process that requires both divine surrender and conscious navigation. Do not despise prophecies, but test everything. Hold fast what is good, as written in 1 Thessalonians 5:20-21. This scripture offers perfect guidance for this phase of your journey, embracing your spiritual awakening while applying discernment to every step of the process. One of the greatest challenges many chosen ones face is resistance from those who have known you during your amnesia years. Family members, longtime friends, and colleagues have formed fixed perceptions of who you are, and your transformation often triggers their discomfort or even opposition. Remember this: their resistance isn't truly about you, it's about the mirror you've become. Your awakening reflects back to others their own unlived potential, their own forgotten purpose, their own spiritual amnesia. Some will be inspired by this reflection, others will feel threatened by it. Hold compassion for both responses while remaining steadfast in your truth. You needn't defend, justify, or over-explain your transformation. The most powerful testimony is simply your consistent embodiment of your awakened state, allowing others to adjust to the emerging authentic you in their own time. Another significant challenge is balancing everyday responsibilities with your spiritual calling. Many chosen ones imagine they must abandon their current lives to follow their spiritual purpose, walking away from careers, relationships, or communities to pursue their mission. But for most, this isn't the path of highest service. Your awakening isn't meant to extract you from ordinary life, but to transform how you engage with it. Your existing roles, relationships, and responsibilities often become the perfect vehicles for expressing your gifts in ways that can reach those who need them most. The executive who brings conscious leadership to their organization. The teacher who subtly integrates spiritual principles into their classroom. The healthcare provider who combines conventional and energetic healing. The parent who raises children with awareness of their spiritual nature. Each fulfills their mission, not by escaping their life, but by elevating it. Creating sacred space for your continued spiritual development is essential during this transformation. This means establishing regular practices that nurture your awakening, whether meditation time in nature, energy work, sacred study, or creative expression that channels your gifts. It also means setting energetic boundaries with environments, media activities, and relationships that drain rather than support your emerging consciousness. This isn't spiritual bypass or avoidance. It's wise stewardship of the light you're remembering. Finding or creating your spiritual community becomes increasingly important as your transformation deepens. No chosen one is meant to walk this path in isolation. Your spiritual family, those who recognize and honor your gifts while sharing their own, provides essential support, reflection, and amplification of your purpose. These connections often arise synchronistically as your frequency shifts. People with aligned missions seem to appear precisely when needed, sometimes from unexpected directions. Be attentive to these divine appointments, for they often carry important pieces of your unfolding purpose. Perhaps most importantly, developing discernment becomes crucial as your spiritual senses awaken. Not every intuitive, energetic experience or inspired idea carries the same level of divine guidance. Learning to distinguish between ego impulses, fear-based thinking, and true spiritual guidance is an ongoing practice. Ask yourself, does this guidance expand or contract my energy? Does it serve only me, or does it serve the greater good? Does it align with universal spiritual principles of love, truth, and compassion? Does it feel like pressure or like peace? These questions help refine your spiritual discernment. The transformation you're navigating isn't a linear process with a defined endpoint. It's a spiral journey of continual expansion, integration, and deeper remembering. Some days will bring profound clarity and connection. Others will feel like temporary regression into old patterns. Both are part of the sacred unfolding. Trust the process. Trust your inner guidance. Trust the divine timing that is orchestrating your awakening in perfect alignment with both your highest good and the collective need for your gifts. So I ask you, what one step can you take today to honor your awakening process? What practice might support your continuing transformation? What boundaries might need strengthening to protect your emerging gifts? What community might you seek or create to walk alongside you? Your answers to these questions become the practical foundation for the extraordinary mission that's unfolding through your awakened consciousness as a chosen one. Chapter 7. The Chosen One's Collective Mission. While your awakening journey may often feel deeply personal, there is a profound truth that must now be revealed. You are part of something far greater than your individual mission. You belong to a sacred collective of souls awakening simultaneously across the planet. The chosen ones, whose combined light forms a critical network of consciousness. The body is not one member, but many, as written in 1 Corinthians 12:14. This scripture speaks to the divine design of spiritual awakening in our time. Not isolated individuals, but an interconnected web of souls remembering their purpose in concert with one another. What you are experiencing is not happening to you alone. Across the world, others who share your spiritual DNA are undergoing the same remembering, the same transformation, the same reclamation of their dormant gifts. Though your specific mission and gifts may differ, you are united by a common purpose to help facilitate the greatest consciousness shift humanity has experienced in millennia. This collective awakening is creating what spiritual teachers have called a critical mass, the energetic tipping point when enough individual consciousness has shifted to catalyze a broader transformation in the collective field. Your personal awakening contributes directly to this threshold being reached. Think of it like this. When scientists study the behavior of schools of fish or flocks of birds, they discover that only about 5% of the group needs to change direction for the entire collective to follow. Your awakening isn't just changing your individual life trajectory, it's helping to redirect the very course of human evolution. The challenges facing our world today, environmental crises, social divisions, systemic inequities, spiritual disconnection, these aren't separate from your mission. They are precisely why you and other chosen ones are awakening now. Your specific combination of gifts, wisdom, and life experience carries medicine for particular aspects of our collective healing. Some chosen ones are awakening to help transmute the wounds in our relationship with the natural world, others to bring healing to ancestral and cultural trauma. Some to transform educational systems to nurture whole beings, others to revolutionize how we approach health and healing. Some to reimagine economic structures based on cooperation rather than exploitation, others to restore sacred wisdom that connects us to our spiritual essence. Your individual mission is a crucial piece of this larger tapestry. No single chosen one carries responsibility for the entire shift, but each holds an essential thread without which the pattern would be incomplete. As your awakening deepens, you'll begin to recognize others who share this sacred purpose. Sometimes the recognition happens instantly, a meeting of eyes with a stranger that carries inexplicable familiarity, a conversation that resonates at a soul level, an unexpected collaboration that feels divinely orchestrated. These connections aren't accidental. They are sacred appointments arranged by higher consciousness to bring together those whose gifts and missions are meant to amplify and complement one another. When chosen ones unite in shared purpose, their combined energy creates exponentially greater impact than any could achieve alone. This is the alchemical power of spiritual synergy, the whole becoming far greater than the sum of its parts. Two or more. Chosen ones working in conscious alignment can shift energetic patterns that would be impossible for a single awakened soul to transform. You may have already experienced glimpses of this phenomenon, conversations that seemed to open portals of possibility, collaborative projects that attracted unexpected resources and support gatherings where the collective energy created palpable shifts in consciousness. These experiences aren't imaginary. They're tangible manifestations of the network of light forming between awakened souls. The indigenous wisdom traditions have long understood this principle, teaching that in times of great transition, scattered wisdom keepers would be called to reconnect, each carrying a piece of knowledge or medicine needed for collective healing. Many spiritual prophecies speak of this time, when those who have been keeping specific flames of truth alive would find one another to combine their sacred fires. This doesn't mean you need to abandon your individual path to join some external movement or organization. The connection happens first at the level of consciousness, your awakened awareness naturally aligning with others of similar frequency, creating energetic pathways through which higher wisdom can flow more abundantly. Some of these connections will manifest as physical collaborations. Others remain primarily energetic with chosen ones, supporting each other's missions across distance through consciousness alone. Both forms of connection are equally powerful in the greater tapestry being woven. As you step more fully into your awakened identity, you naturally begin to recognize other chosen ones by their energetic signature. There's an unmistakable resonance when you encounter another soul who has broken through their spiritual amnesia, a recognition that transcends ordinary social interaction. This recognition often feels like remembering rather than meeting, a soul-level familiarity that suggests you've walked together in service before, perhaps across multiple lifetimes. Trust these recognitions when they occur. They are divine orchestration, bringing together those whose combined gifts create precisely what is needed in specific times and places. The greater purpose behind this mass awakening extends beyond addressing current global challenges, vital as that work is. The collective mission of chosen ones in this time is nothing less than assisting in the birth of an entirely new consciousness on Earth, one that remembers rather than rejects our essential spiritual nature and interconnection. This is not about creating utopia or escaping planetary challenges. It's about bringing heaven to earth, integrating spiritual wisdom into everyday human experience so that we evolve not away from our humanity, but into its fullest, most sacred expression. So I ask you, how might your purpose connect to the greater healing needed in our world? What specific aspect of collective transformation might your unique gifts and journey be designed to address? Who are the other chosen ones you've encountered, who seem to carry complementary pieces of the greater mission? As you contemplate these questions, remember this fundamental truth. You were never meant to fulfill your mission in isolation. Your awakening is part of a divine orchestration, bringing together precisely the souls needed to catalyze the next phase of human evolution. You are a chosen one, but you are not alone. And in this truth lies both profound responsibility and eternal comfort as you step fully into the purpose that has been waiting for your remembering. The Forgotten Promise. As we come to the close of this sacred message, I want to speak directly to the deepest part of you, the part that has been quietly awakening throughout these words, the part that recognizes truth not through the mind, but through the soul's innate knowing. You are a chosen one. This isn't spiritual flattery or New Age platitude. It is the recognition of a divine appointment that your soul accepted before entering this human journey, a sacred promise you made that is now being remembered through the veil of forgetting. The timing of your spiritual awakening in this second half of life carries profound purpose. Every experience that has shaped you, every joy and heartbreak, every success and failure, every relationship and loss has been preparation for the mission your soul now remembers. Nothing has been wasted. Nothing has been a mistake. Even your period of spiritual amnesia served its divine purpose, allowing you to gather the exact experiences, wisdom, and strength needed for what you came here to do. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. These words from Jeremiah 29:11 speak directly to the divine orchestration that has been guiding your journey all along, even when you couldn't perceive it. As your remembering deepens in the days and weeks ahead, trust the unfolding process. Honor the wisdom of divine timing. Embrace both the exhilaration and the discomfort that come with reclaiming your authentic spiritual identity and purpose. Remember that you're not walking this path alone. Across the world, other chosen ones are awakening to their missions, forming a sacred network of light that is helping to birth a new consciousness on our planet. Your individual awakening contributes directly to this collective transformation. The world needs exactly what your awakened presence brings, not someday in the future when you feel ready enough, but right now exactly as you are in this moment of remembering. Your forgotten promise is being remembered. Your spiritual amnesia is lifting. Your soul mission is activating with perfect divine timing. Will you honor this sacred remembering? Will you embrace the responsibility and privilege of being a chosen one whose time has come? If your heart resonates with this message, please like this video, subscribe to this channel for continued guidance on your awakening journey, and type 888 in the comments below to connect with other chosen ones who are committed to reclaiming their mission. The world is waiting for what only you can bring, and your time of remembering is now.